action films and series of all time, including Masters of the Universe, yes, applaud, Universal Soldier, Johnny Mnemonic, as Gunnar Jensen in the Expendables series, Creed 2, Arrow, and Aquaman. No matter how strong you think you are, he's stronger. Please put your hands together for the one, the only, Dolph Lundgren! So, are you in Toronto often? And when you think of Toronto, what comes to mind?
Hi everybody. Bonjour. Back to bilingual up here, I think. Well, let's see. Toronto. I used to come here a lot in the 90s and 2000s to make a lot of movies here. Must have made about 5 to 10 films. Used to be a couple months every time, so I know quite well. Used to stay in Yorkville. Yorkville.
Nice area. Well, that's great. We're so happy to have you back. So, are you a foodie by any chance?
Am I what?
A foodie.
Well, a little bit. I was always in the diet back in those days, so tuna salad, baked potatoes. No, I like the food in Canada. I mean, I think you can feel the difference just from LA just today, it feels cleaner.
We'll take it. Yeah, certainly. Toronto in the summer could feel clean. So I'm glad that was your experience. So let's jump in. I have a few questions for you. I know these folks have a lot of questions for you. So let's start off maybe talking about martial arts. I know that you hold the rank of 4th Dan black belt in Kyokushin karate. So could you talk a bit about, for folks who don't know, what makes that kind of karate different? And how has it kind of shaped the way you do, combat and stunts throughout your career?
Kyokushin karate is one of the big styles in Japan. It was founded by a man named Masatotsu Yama, and he was originally doing Shotokan, but he was a big guy, and he was very powerful. So it's a style that's kind of based on power and to be able to take and give out some punishment. So when I was young, I was attracted to that. I had some issues with my dad, and I had a hard time when I was a young boy. So I was trying to kind of feel powerful and feel, strong, and that's why I picked martial arts, that particular art. And then when I got into action movies, I got a way to kind of utilize it to do some of my fights. Except I didn't really want to make it look too martial artsy, like too technical, but a little more. Kyokushin is a little more practical, so there's more knees and elbows and kind of a little close to Thai boxing. That's what I use.
So you already had that skill set going into action films, which I'm sure was extremely useful. What was the biggest learning curve when you started getting into more film work? What did you have to kind of figure out the most?
Well, I think there's two parts to it. One is, it's called show business. So the show part, meaning you gotta work on your acting, and obviously that was new for me, your emotional life and so forth. And then the business part of show business was super harder because, I came from academia and also martial arts where everybody's fairly trustworthy and kind of say what they mean and mean what they say, which is not really always the case in Hollywood. So I experienced that, and it was harsh for me when I was a young man. It was that business part of it.
So the biggest learning curve was dealing with people.
I think so, and I think one of the biggest challenges was really to try to hold on to your own identity, who you really are, because you're playing other characters, and cinema is very powerful, and people tend to see you as character, but then in private life, you can be yourself. And it was very hard for me to do that in the beginning, but I think martial arts really helped. And obviously, you look at really mega stars with a strong image on Marilyn Monroe or Elvis Presley or Michael Jackson, guys like that. I mean, it could also not end in a good way, because there's a lot of pressure on the individual.
So that's nice that you already have such a strong grounding in discipline, sort of through martial arts. So in the 80s, I know you spent a lot of time in New York City. You rubbed shoulders with some wonderful folks like Grace Jones, Andy Warhol, Keith Haring, people like that who are really part of the arts community. And that is sort of part of your gateway into acting. Was there anything else around that time that you almost did instead, that they said, maybe you should be a rock star, or anything else, something that tempted you?
Not really. I mean, I was a chemical engineer when I came over from Sweden.
We're clapping for chemical engineering. Absolutely. Also a Fulbright scholar, by the way.
Very exciting. I could have been a chemical engineer, as my brother is, and my dad was an engineer as well. And but I did some writing. I was involved in music a little bit when I was younger. I played the drums in a rock band and marching band. But no, the one thing that I thought about when I first came to New York, ran into Warhol and these guys, and I was thinking about becoming a fighter, a boxer, to go professional. And I had a couple of offers, but around that time I was also doing auditions. And then, Grace, who was my girlfriend at the time, she always said, "Oh, no, don't be a fighter. Your nose, you like it the way it is." So I got smart and I kind of delayed my entrance into professional boxing, and in the meantime, I got that role in Rocky IV, so I got to do it on the film.
So because of that, did you already train in boxing? Was it something you were quite comfortable with, or did you really have to study when you got that part?
Well, I was fairly comfortable, moving with an opponent because I was a fighter, but obviously boxing is different. The distance is different. You're closer to the opponent than in martial arts, where you use your legs. But it did lead my character, and if you remember, perhaps in Rocky IV, Ivan Drago ended up getting that Soviet style of boxing, which was kind of a fairly long stance, with a jab, which is what the Soviet fighters had, that style. So it kind of worked for me in the movement.
And you've already spoken about sort of your academic background, engineering, etc. So was it hard for you to find an action film that sort of satisfied you in a way, because you had studied so much, you're an intelligent person, to find a film that challenged you but still had the action component that you wanted to deliver?
Look, I was looking for a job. I was working as a doorman in New York, guys were pulling guns on us and stuff, and so any job, any movie, and it's very interesting that I ended up playing this character who I was very right for in one way because he was a big, formidable, guy from Europe. On the other hand, he wasn't exactly a chemical engineer. He had like 5 words in the whole movie, and so it started me off on one side of the spectrum as an actor. So it's been kind of a journey ever since, I think, to some degree. Maybe to play characters a little closer to me and really. But Humphrey Bogart ended up playing a gangster, even though he was a very, very sweet, soft-spoken guy who never wanted to get in a fight. So, that's the business.
Yeah, I suppose at a certain point you kind of have to lean in to what people
It's made for you. You just gotta go with it.
QR code to answer some questions. So this game is called This or That. What we're going to do is I'm going to give you two things. You just choose your favorite between the two, and then we'll go from there. Sounds okay?
Good.
Okay, thing number one, and I think we have an EE component there, so I'll give you a nice clear signal. The first question is action hero or action villain?
Well, I think action heroes are you get the girl. There's some advantages to it.
To be the hero, you mean?
Yeah, I think so. Even though I would say, you're not supposed to judge your character, so you don't really look at it as a villain. I mean, when I played Ivan Drago, I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm the bad guy in this movie. I mean, I kind of knew that I ended up, fighting against Rocky, but for Ivan Drago, at least he was trying to do a good job and prove something to the Soviet Union. So he's not really a villain. And I think that's why I ended up playing heroes after that, because the sort of the soul of the character comes through to some degree. If there's some kind of if there's some ability, some dignity there, whether you're performing good or bad things in the movie, then people stick with that.
I like that. That was a very diplomatic answer. And our audience said, let me see, hero, 61%. Almost kind of in the middle. That's pretty good. I like that. And I like the ones we've shown. I mean, we're not going to turn around, but we do have a master of the universe there. Question number 2. Training montage or final battle?
Final battle, more work. Yeah. More brain damage.
So you want the training montage?
Training montage was fun, but I think the fights.
Okay, well, our audience overwhelmingly wants the final battle. 68%, 32 for training montage. The training montage looks especially tiring, I think, because it's all the hardest parts of exercise. Well done. Okay, number 3. The powers of He-Man or the powers of King Nereus?
Oh boy. I guess King Nereus, you can breathe underwater. It could be, if there's a, what do you call it, global warming, the oceans. King Nereus.
It would just be you and the fish to the end of time. We love that. Okay, and folks said, oh wow, everyone wants to have the powers of He-Man. Who are the 10 people that wanted King Nereus? Raise your hand.
I was one of them.
That's what happened. You and Dolph. So congrats. Question number 4. Stunts or special effects?
Stunts, definitely. Stunts are better.
Do you have a favorite kind of stunt to do?
Well, right now it's like you're taking a nap and then a sofa. Stunt. I mean, I like fights. I'm pretty good at fights. I think realistic fights in movies are always cool. When you feel like when you see the actors doing it, and there's not too quick cutting, so you kind of realize it's a stunt guy instead of the real actor. So yeah, I like fights.
Do you have a stunt that you consider the most dangerous?
That I ever did. I did a few when I was pretty stupid back in the 80s, and I decided to do things because I was bored on set, on Masters, there's a scene where a character jumps out of a window onto one of these hovering discs, and we shot it, I broke the glass, candy glasses, and I supposed to jump to this platform. And as I jumped, I realized there were no boxes, there was nothing around, there was no protection. It was the middle of the night. Somebody forgot. And I realized that it all happened in like 1 second. If I miss, I'm dead, right? But I made it.
Spoiler, not dead. How high up were you?
Well, I was on the 3rd floor of the building.
Terrifying. For anyone younger here, the 80s was a truly lawless time. It's a wonder any of us made it through. Okay, and what did folks say? We skipped to the next question, so don't turn around. The question is voice acting or on-camera acting?
I think on camera is more fun, for sure.
For what reason? You have to get dressed up though and put makeup on.
Yeah, it's a little more work, but also you get a kick out of it, and it's a little therapeutic to work in character, do things that maybe you wouldn't do in real life. It's a kind of a cool feeling.
I like that, the transformation. Our audience agrees with 84%. Two more questions. This is a geographical one, somewhat. Northern Lights or LA sunsets?
Oh, well, I think Northern Lights are more special. Especially in Norway, where my beautiful wife's from, and up in northern Sweden, where I grew up. Yeah, it's very nice.
We get some of those here too. In Canada, we go pretty far north. Yeah, clap for the lights. The audience is 81% Northern Lights, 19% LA sunsets, and they're probably from people from LA. They were sent there here to publicize. This is your final question. Yvonne Drago or Gunnar Jensen?
Well, I guess Drago would have to win. Finally, you get to win some.
That's right. Finally, the audience agrees with 81%, 18 for good old Gunnar. That was pretty good. I think you in this audience have like a 50-50 sort of symbiosis. You disagreed on a lot of things, but
Not that much.
you stand by your answers.
Yes. It's not. It was fun. But I think I answered correctly most of them.
Well, that's
to you guys.
You know, I'll tell you the rules of this game. Whatever you answer is the right answer. So well done. And now is the part I think where the gloves could come off because it's our Q&A. So if you have a question for this wonderful human being, there's a microphone in the middle of the room. You can line up right here. This game is super easy. There are two rules. The first rule is ask one question. Just one. No two-parters, no three-parters. The second rule is make sure you ask the question. Don't just say a thing, because then we don't know what to do and it's a little confusing. So one question. Sounds good? That's the question mark. And if you cannot come to the microphone, just let someone know and we'll find a way to accommodate you. So let's start with that first question.
Hi, Dolph. Welcome to Toronto. Pleasure meeting you.
Thanks.
My name is Odyssey, by the way. I'm a huge fan of yours from the 80s. I'm an 80s kid myself, so just wanted to ask you, I'm a huge fan of Street Fighter, this video game, and I, for a fact, know that they created the character Guile, that was played by Van Damme, the actual character from the video game, based on your looks. So I was wondering, I always thought to myself, you have to play Guile. So I don't know why they picked Van Damme, but would it be like to play Guile, the Street Fighter movie, if Steven Yeun's approach you?
Well, I don't know enough about it. What's the name of the guy?
Steven D'Souza, the guy who did Mortal Kombat and the Street Fighter.
Well, it would be fun. I mean, Van Damme is good too, so yeah, I have to check out the game. I don't know the game, so thanks for that.
Definitely, please check out Guile. He's based on you, okay? So definitely check him out. Guile.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Great. Next question.
Hey, Dolph, thanks for signing the poster earlier today at the original. My question is, what were your thoughts when you first saw Franklin go in the Skeletor movie? And how was it interacting with Frank and everything and feeling his portrayal of Skeletor?
Yeah, I mean, I was a young man at the time, and I had not much experience, but I realized he was a good actor, and I was always looking up to him. And, he was very nice to me, very supportive. I think he did a terrific job. It was, in those days, very crude makeup. Those are like silicone. It was glued on his face. It took him 4 hours a day. So I think he did a great job. That character really comes to the eyes, to the voice. Yeah. Thanks.
Hi, Dolph. I have a question for you. Which role are you most proud to play?
Most proud.
I think the most proud of how you played.
Which movie are you like most to play?
Did I like to play the most? Well, there's something in all of those. some movies are maybe well written and they respond to the audience response to that particular characters. But obviously, Drago is something very memorable because it's my first big role, and I was a fighter at the time. And then I got to reprieve that role in Creed 2, where I was, now I had a son, and I got to play the character again 35 years later, which is, I think, a bit unusual that somebody plays a character 35 years later, same actor. It happens once in a while, but especially with the arc that the character got to take. So I really enjoyed that movie too.
Thanks so much. It's great.
As a kid, Rocky IV was one of my favorite films, and I watched the final battle and the montage from VHS just a million times. And one of the parts that stood out the most was when he whipped that politician up and he said, "Dracula!" And I thought you were actually Russian because of that. So I'm curious, did you have any actual Russians to, speak Russian in how you were trying to speak Russian?
Yes, I had that. I mean, I had a Russian coach, for the movie. He's a very good director as well. No, I did have people. When I went to Russia, I was there many times up till about 10 years ago. And yeah, people do think you speak Russian. And I did a few talk shows where I would be coached. And I had like a little earpiece with like repeat things in Russian.
Do you speak any Russian?
Very little. Very choo-choo. Very little. But for a while when I was there, a couple of times a year, I used to pick it up. After a while you start understanding what they're talking about, and you can say a few things.
It's a great question. Thank you.
Hello, sir. My understanding with the Masters of the Universe, that the final scene where He-Man battled Skeletor was actually shot after the movie was practically shut down because Canon Films had run out of money. And that basically the director and you guys had to basically sneak back in and shoot this final fight. Could you tell us a little bit about filming the final battle?
Well, I don't remember all the details of it because I wasn't really producing it, so I wasn't privy to all the behind the scenes stuff. But I know that the battle was cut down in size. It was supposed to be shot for a longer period. Instead of 1 week, 2 weeks or something, they cut it down from 2 to 1 week. Whether they had to sneak it in, I'm not sure, but I remember that there was a big rush there to finish. So I think that probably would have been more spectacular if they had the budget they originally was approved. I think Cameron was running out of money at that time. But I do think, the movie, actually I saw it on 35 millimeter last year because it was an anniversary in LA for the 40th anniversary of the birth of He-Man. He was 1983, I think, he was born. And the movie held up pretty well, so I was surprised. It was pretty interesting.
Great question.
Hi, my name is Sarah. My question is if there's anything specific you do to get into the mindset of a character before filming?
Specific that I...
Any specific ritual you do, like almost get into that mindset when you're on set?
Of the character. Yeah, but I think it's, you try to build a backstory, emotional backstory, anything that seems something that could work for that character. Even if it's not in the script, you create something that would motivate me for that character, so I can be emotionally connected. But, we kind of work on that prior to principal photography, and then you try to forget about it, and then you just put yourself in that particular moment of, it seems like you're about to do whatever's happening then. But the deeper stuff, it has to be, it's almost like you have to work on it, and that can be a problem. You have to work on it for a few months usually for it to shine through without you having to try to indicate it, you know? And back in the day, when I first started, you have more time to prepare for movies. So like Rocky IV, I had a 6 months audition, then I had 6 months of prep for Stallone. So I had a year. So basically I lived that character for 1 year when it was time to do a big close-up. And you know, the close-up camera is like, make sure you shoot, you can see what you're thinking, you're feeling, you don't have to try to do anything. And it's like Marlon Brando was saying, you know, just because the director some action doesn't mean you have to do anything.
Thank you. Great question.
My question to you is, when is your memory working with Stallone of Rocky or the Expendables films?
Which would I prefer?
A favorite memory working
Oh,
with
memory.
Stallone. Yeah.
The Rocky or
Stallone.
the Expendables films?
Well, Stallone, obviously, you know, I was a young man, and he was 10 years older than me. We trained together twice a day, 6 days a week for 5 months. That was memorable, Rocky, you know. And I was very impressed because I was a European heavyweight champion in karate, and he was kind of keeping up with sparring. So I was pretty impressed that he was in good shape. And on Expendables, I think it was really cool that I got to work with him again. I never thought I would. And I remember my agent called me, it was like 2009, and said, oh, there's a script, you know, they want you to take a look at the script. And when I saw it, you know, the title of these Expendables by Sylvester Stallone, I hadn't read it, Sylvester Stallone script since Rocky IV, and I started reading it, and on page 3 it says, you know, Gunnar Jensen, the big Swede with a drunk with a knife. Okay, that's gotta be me. That sounds like Stallone. So yeah, it was a real fond feeling to come back and work with him.
Thank you. Great question. Thank you. What was that? The big Swede with a knife?
Drunk.
Right, Kendra.
I know I'm a huge fan of yours, like younger, so about Rocky IV, how did you prepare for your role being a Soviet athlete into the Cold War?
Well, I was, you know, I did some preparation for the audition, and that was more the physical preparation because I had a coach in New York who was very clever, and he studied with Soviet officers because my character was an officer, right? So, you know, they kind of keep your chin up like this all the time. It's all those recruiting posters for the hero of the proletariat, you know, the workers' hero. So it was all that kind of, it was a kind of a attitude of minimalistic attitude of just say the line, don't try to do anything. And later, I had a Russian acting coach who taught me the Russian. He taught me how the athletes are trained in Russia and how they take them when in those days in the Soviet Union when they were very small from their families, and they were trained in these special camps where they were, you know, didn't have their family around. It was quite brutal, and how I kind of created the character that way. So he really felt that he'd been mistreated by his own people, and that's why he wants to prove something. And that's why he, as soon as, you know, they turn against him, he turns back against them. You know, and that's, I think, it's a little bit of the Frankenstein's monster, where, you know, Frankenstein is the real bad guy, and the monster is just somebody they created. So that's kind of what I try to do.
Thank you so much. Hi, Dolph. My name is Andrew. That was a killer Marlon Brando impression. I'll bet you do a really good Stallone, too. Universal Soldier was one of my favorite movies from when I was younger. I was wondering if you'd share any stories about working with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Well, it was, you know, I didn't really know who he was. I heard his movie called The Kickboxer, but I met him, and I realized he was super smart about his career, by actually really knew what he wanted to do. Yeah, it was interesting because we became friends in that picture. But there was a lot of competition also in the beginning, like who had the, the best abs, the biggest shoulders, and we had always a couple of scenes where we were all dressed, where we were like bare chested next to each other. So I know there was some competition going on, and all healthy, of course. But and also we had that fight at the end where we shot in we had rain towers for 2 weeks, shot at night, which we would never do now. So we did all our own stunts, 12 hours, shooting every night, drenched. I don't know how we survived it, but yeah, we became very good friends in the picture. Since I've done another 3 or 4 movies with him since then.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Hello, sir. My question is in regards to round 4. Considering your background in boxing and combat sports, do you consider it to be an advantage when you're filming the fight scenes in terms of maybe to just adapt easier, or is it more difficult because you don't rely on your natural instincts? Because obviously that's how they actually hit Stallone.
No, I mean, my experience came in very handy, moving with an opponent and timing, and not to hit somebody, but getting very close. I was pretty good at it immediately, and I think that's one reason you got the role too. Because you have to get somebody who looked the part, who could act the part, but who also could fight. So it's not that easy to cast a role like that. You get a real fighter, and then he can't act, and he doesn't look right. You get somebody who looks right and can't fight. So, especially in those days, you have no CGI actors, you have to do your own stuff. So, I think, yeah, it was very, it was a perfect role for me. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Hi there.
When you were filming, who was your favorite actor to work with?
My favorite actor to work with? Well, I must say I like working with Sly, actually. I like doing scenes with him. We have good chemistry on screen. Expendables and Me Too. Yeah, so I worked with him. Yeah, I worked with a lot of actors, throughout the years. But he's probably, I would say, one of my fondest memories of him. Thanks.
Hi, Dolph. My name is Georgia, and I'm wondering what was the most physically challenging film you were a part of?
Physically challenging. Boy, I've done a few. I was in very good shape at the time. Rocky IV was very challenging. Masters was very challenging too, because I did a lot of sword fighting, and I had to be in shape without a shirt. Bare chest all the whole movie, 9 weeks. The Rocky films, there were 2 cuts, and part of the training montage, I think I had to be in top shape all the time. Also did a movie called Pentathlon, where I played Olympic athlete, and I runs, this really famous horseback riding, which was really tough, and shooting. So that was really hard too. I've done a few like that, sure.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Another actor just had to worry about learning lines.
I know. Learning lines.
Yes, please.
Before getting married, is there ever be another Expendables movie with Tom Cruise in the middle?
What was that last thing?
Will there be another Expendables, potentially with Tom Cruise as the villain?
Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know if there'll be another Expendables movie, not soon, I don't think. Not after the last one we didn't do that well, so no, I think I'm sure there will be another one at some point, but maybe there'll be a reboot later. And Tom Cruise would be great, but he's busy doing this thing, doing the Olympics.
50 Cent.
Yeah, 50. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, I like him a lot. We had some fun scenes in the movie. He was very, very nice and kind of shy, not like his image at all. And I had a few scenes where I think the first scene we did together is a bar scene where I had to grab him and throw him up against the wall, and he didn't know me. And I'm a little bit in character, so I come out as this crazy Swede with my long hair and had a few drinks. At least I'm supposed to have had a few drinks, and I grab him. I know I could see he was a little bit like shocked, like, oh, who is this fucking guy? But we made friends out.
Great question, thank you. Claire.
Hi, I'm Adam. How do you feel about having played the Punisher and having done a Marvel movie back before it was a popular thing to do?
Yeah, I played that character back when there weren't many Marvel comics or any franchises around, so except Batman, I guess. But Batman was rebooted later. That was around the same time actually. But yeah, it was not considered a great career move to play a cartoon character. Now it is, of course. Now everybody wants to do it, but it was challenging. I didn't know the character, and they decided not to go with a skull on the chest and all that, so the fans were a bit disappointed. But I'm proud of that movie. There was some good action in it, and I think it was also same thing with like Masters. The distributors were kind of in control when they released the pictures. Didn't get a great distribution, but I thought it was a pretty decent film.
Thank you. Hello, so my question is there any other Marvel character that you want to play?
Oh boy, I wouldn't even know another Marvel character if I had to mention one. No, I don't think so. I mean, I like, the Aquaman is DC, right? No, I think that, I've played so many superheroes, not superheroes, but so many characters that are like physically sort of formidable, and I'd rather play more regular people. It could be a regular person who has an attitude of some sort, or is tough or something, but the superhero thing, there's a lot of other people that can do it too, so I'll stay away from that for now. I'm done.
Yeah, you've done it. You've paid your dues. Beautiful. Next up.
Hi, Dolph. This is Thomas, and I saw the Expendables 3 times in theaters, and my question is for you. What's it like recording with Jet Li?
Well, it was fun but tedious because they had this fight coordinator in Hong Kong who Jeff works with, and I didn't know Jeff at the time, the first one, and this guy came in and designed the fight, and we shot the fight in New Orleans. It was 140 degrees Celsius. We shot for about a week, and then on second unit, and then one day towards the end, Sly shows up he's directing the movie. I watch playbacks on the monitors, and he's like watching and he goes, "What the hell is this?"
Thank you.
To reshoot the whole fight.
Are you serious?
Yeah, we reshot the whole fight.
That ended your friendship, huh?
No, it didn't end the friendship, but it was the fight. The original fight was it was a little too goofy. It was not really realistic. But I think the final result was pretty good. Where Gunner beats him up a little bit, and then Stallone shoots me. Remember?
Well, great question. Yes, hi.
Hi, Dolph. I'm one of your biggest fans. I got an autograph from Photo Op earlier. My question was, during Rocky IV, how did you manage to stay in character?
Just
In character.
well, I think I touched upon that before. Like I rehearsed for the audition for 6 months, running the lines in my coach, and then I did Yiddish, and then I, trained the longest 6 months, and I was Russian coach. So I was really, it's like with rehearsing. You can, sometimes if you don't rehearse too much, it can be nice because you're very spontaneous. But otherwise, you have to really rehearse, and you have to really become second nature. And that's what it was for me. It became second nature. So when the cameras were on me, I wasn't nervous. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I didn't really stay in character so much between takes. I didn't have to. I already knew this scene is about so and so, and my character is thinking about this and that. And I think the hardest thing is sometimes when someone puts a camera on who's not to do anything. The director has action, remember? They don't have to do anything. So this is a typical character who didn't do anything. He just sits there in a press conference, and that's when, Apollo Creed goes, well, the man's totally going to make it in customs, or says, and it's funny, but but it's hard to play a character like that. I mean, for most actors, because you want to show off. Anyway.
Grounded energy. I can sense that from you. Great question. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Hey there. Hello. So I'm Nathaniel, and I really love you, Rocky 4. I thought you were amazing. That film was crazy, like super over the top. I love it. It's product of time, I think, but it's still amazing. But one of my favorite roles you've been in personally that I don't think is talked about much is your role in Always Sunny in Philadelphia, the show. We played Undergun, which is like the fictional version of like an Arnold Schwarzenegger type action hero. And I was just wondering, like that show is so insane. It was different than anything you've ever been in. It's more of like a comedy, it's like a dark comedy too.
So what's your question,
Like,
Michael?
experience with like the staff as well as like was it like Dave DeVito and like all those guys? Like what was it like being on that episode?
Well, I didn't really know that character, so they had to explain it to me, but it was fun. It was fun it's fun to poke fun at yourself and to, like genre. So I enjoyed it. I have some project now also. I have a project now that I'm working on where I play kind of another version of myself, kind of like how people assume I am in real life, dangerous, wearing dark sunglasses all the time, and driving me like armor, But so I enjoy that very, very much. And Danny DeVito is a cool guy. Thank you.
Great question, Danny. Thank you so much. Well, those folks don't know your secret life as a chemical engineer. Okay, unfortunately, this is our last question. I'm so sorry for everyone behind our friend in the white jacket. We are out of time.
Don't worry. I think people just actually go from the front to the back of the line and come back again.
Oh, they're
Is that what they do? Anyway, okay.
Thank you very much. Dolph, so obviously as a very trained passion martial artist, is there a movie or a TV show, a martial arts movie or TV show that stands out to you that captures the essence of fighting? That choreography is shot in a way that makes you say, you know what, that's what fighting is about. That's martial arts.
One show with fights. I mean, it's difficult to answer, I mean, it depends on the style. I mean, look at Rocky 4. Rocky 4, the last fight in the style, that was, it took 6 months to rehearse, shot for, 2 weeks in Canada, and another 2 weeks on stage. So, there's really not much that's been done apart from the Rocky movies where people spend that much time in one fight. I can't. Universal Soldier spent a couple of weeks. But I think those Rocky fights are pretty good. There are other martial arts fights I can think about, but sometimes they're over the top, a little bit over the top. Not really. No, huh? Yeah, some of the Bruce Lee movies they were in the 70s, so it's a little different. fight in the street, they're not that long, you know. It's over in about 10 seconds, 20 maybe. Either one guy gives up, or one guy gets knocked out or gives up. Or a friend steps in with a chair and cracks it over your head and you're trying to choke them out. So the real fights are quite short like that. Actually, there was a guy, there was a fight called Once We Were Warriors, a movie about New Zealand, you know, where there's some bar fights in that one. Remember that one? That was quite realistic. Very brutal, short, brutal fight.